everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'm Barbara Tober, and I'm talking to Beyond Noise magazine, and it's a lovely day outside because it's spring. We're all celebrating, so I'm sort of wearing a springy outfit at the moment. And I love the idea of talking about the objects that I've collected over the years, because they have a story. They're all form an involvement in the history of one's life. As you grow, as you get older, as you just go on with your life, you collect things around you that are meaningful at that time.
We want to know kind of like your process of like building your space, building your home.
Oh, well, that's a history. I had a home that was taken away from me, then I had another home and it was much smaller, and then I had to build a career, and then I had a bigger home, and then I finally got married to my husband, who has now passed away. But I mean, we had a really big home, and this is it. I became involved with the once used to be American Craft Museum, now is the Museum of Arts and Design at 2 Columbus Circle, and I'm still very involved there, and the atrium is named after me. And I think it's one of the best museums in New York because it deals with contemporary artists who are making something that people very often use. And that is, for me, one of the most important things. Yes, you can put it on the wall. Yes, you can look at it. Maybe it's an abstraction. That's always fun to think about what it really means. But for me, I want art to be usable, explainable, understandable, historic, whatever. And so these pieces are by a woman by the name of Joyce Scott. Joyce Scott is a black woman who found out many, many years ago that if she made jewelry made of beads, that she could make a living. She is reasonably ancient, but she still looks terrific, and she's got a big smile on her face. And her jewelry, these are 2 more pieces of her jewelry, which are promised gifts to the Museum of Arts and Design. I have a huge collection over the years of some pieces are better than others. I mean, they're by artists. Sometimes you buy them and then you realize that it's not that wonderful, but these are wonderful. It's not a heavy coat and it's not really warm, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I love the way it's patterned, and I love everything about the way it's made. To me, it's a work of art. I went to Fendi for their annual fur event, and this coat was there. And I said, whoa, this is so beautiful. And we negotiated a price, and I bought the coat. So what do I do with a work of art that's white, that I really can't wear that often? I do get photographed quite a bit, so I don't really want to wear it somewhere where it's going to meet a lot of angry people. So I'm very careful where I wear it. So I keep it out, and I pass it every day going in and out of my bedroom. It is a living being as far as I'm concerned. I stroke it. I thank it, I tell it how much I love it, and I look at it all the time. So this beautiful object is by Dale Chihuly many, many years ago. And Donald and I, my husband, went to Urban Glass to see what they were doing, because Dale was going to be giving an exhibition of his work and his people's work. Years went by, and I was having a dinner here in this apartment for Dale Chihuly and his wife, who I love, Leslie. And so I called up Charles Coles, who was the gallery owner. And I said, Charles, Dale Chihuly is coming for dinner, and I don't have enough of his work. Could you bring some, please? And he arrived with that piece, which we had watched being done 20 years before. So that night, or the next morning, I guess, before my husband went to work, we stood in front of this piece. I looked at it, and Donald and I looked at it, and we said, it's not going back to the gallery. I don't know what it's going to cost, but we are not sending it back to the gallery. So we bought it. It wasn't inexpensive, but it wasn't over the top either. I mean, it wasn't the kind of thing that people get for paintings that look like, six marks of paint, and they charge, I don't know, millions of dollars. It wasn't, but it was approachable for us, and we bought it. And I have been so proud of that piece for so many years. And it is, as you can see, beautifully positioned between two very, very important horses and those beautiful swags which we bought in London. And the mirrors really give it another dimension. It's one of my prized possessions. So this is the photograph that I'm standing next to. Harry Benson is somebody that I have known since he came over here with the Beatles. I mean, he is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant photographer. And I am proud to have known him in the early days when he was kind of, what do I do now? The Beatles are launched. What do I do now? And we helped him with that interim period before he then set out to get to be a more well-known photographer. And I'm very proud of that because he's a buddy of mine and I love him. So this is the photograph that he did of us. And I'm very proud of this picture because it says so much about life and love and our history and that smile. I just love it. So at the Philately Society, James Childs was one of the people who always came over to say hello, and he was an attractive young man. And finally, he looked at me and he said, I want to paint you. And I said, well, you better talk to the boss over here because, I knew he was going to be a little bit pricey. And so he talked to Donald, and Donald said, whatever they said to each other, and he said, okay, fine, you can have your portrait painted by him. So then I went down to his studio, and several times a month, and I went down to his studio and stood on a box, and a little stage that he built, and he kept painting my portrait and painting my portrait and painting my portrait. And finally, he's ready. The figure is on the portrait, and he's ready to put the background in. And he says, I want to paint it gold. I said, James, you're going to make me the laughingstock of New York. I mean, a gold background? That's ridiculous. I don't want to have a gold background. So I called my husband at his office, and I said, Donald, you got to come down here. He's got some very funny ideas. And so Donald comes down, and he's showing him what he had in mind. And Donald says, I think that's fabulous. I really think it should be gold. So gold it was. And they finished the portrait, and we hung it up here. We've had it ever since. This is my husband's memory room. He died 4.5 years ago. There's his portrait. There's his urn. And this is his surroundings. His books, his music, his piano, his portrait, our life here, much of it. He learned how to ride for me. I learned how to ski for him. And we had a fabulous life for almost 50 years. And I love, I just, after I finished screaming and yelling and really, just being so, so sad, and I said, wait a minute, make a room for him, make a room for him. And I finally, after I did it, it took me a year, I sat here in his chair and I said, wait a minute, you're wandering around up there. This is your home. Come back. And that was about 3.5 years ago, and I think he did. I feel him here. I feel happy. I come and talk to him every day. And it may be crazy, but it's the spirit. That's what you care about. And I believe his spirit is here.